Good evening. We are in portion of Korach. So the Baal Shem Tov says that each week we have some sort of a spiritual matter to deal with. That the portions of the Torah are a way to keep ourselves in tunes or on track with a complex spiritual growth or transcendent process that we need to take forth. And why is that? Because the Creator is in the Torah, and because our belief system is in a state of oneness with the divine each and every day, each and every week. And the Torah is some sort of a mirror to each one of us, of our weeks, according to Baal Shem Tov and Chassidut. It is, so this week, what is our spiritual challenge here? What is requested from us to repair or to fix within ourselves in order to have a better grasp or understandings in regards to our spiritual growth or process we need to obtain. So most commentators agree that on this portion we have two extremely important highlights to follow. They come in the form of two mitzvot, the do not do and to do mitzvah. So the do not do mitzvah of this week is to not go inside any kind of division, separation, revolt, or a rebellion, like Korach did, as we know. And that to do mitzvah is to run away from any kind of the above, of rebellion, revolt. Just run away from this. And it's written in the texts, and the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And then later Moshe says to Israel, and he spoke unto the congregation, saying, depart, I pray you, from the tent of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be swept away in all their sins. So from one hand we have this mitzvah, or this requesting, according to spiritual Hasidic teachings, to avoid any kind of separation, but on the other hand we have this separation existing in the portion, even as a divine matter of speech. So we need to address this. It is really extreme here, what's going on in this portion. Now I know we're moving forward in our spiritual process and in the portions as there are in Sefer Bamidbar, but sometimes in order to better understand the present, we must go backwards for a while to have a better overlook of what happened to us up until now, and to grasp better the point in time in which we are exist and heading. And so in the Book of Midbar portions, it would be interesting to summarize them and maybe better understand them, because it's not because Korach, it's not a simple portion. It has how do I call it? It's not a simple portion to comprehend, because we have many casualties in this portion. If we go about the notion in which each and every part of the figures or the characteristics within the Torah are in ourselves, then it means that we had a lot of casualties here. We had 14,700 people dying, going underground, not to be seeing anymore, part of them, and the other would burn. So we have here an extremely a huge thing or deal to investigate within our spiritual process, within ourselves. So as you remember at the first in Sefer Bamidbar, in the portion of Numbers, we counted Israel, all tribes, everyone together in some sort of a beautiful oneness. And then later on in the lift up portion, we had to set aside the tribe of Levi from all this and give it a different count of its own, because of the fact that they are servers of Hashem, and they have some sort of they're representing of a higher spiritual force inside us that we need to approach differently, and we need to dedicate or to elevate in order for them to be worthy for worshipping Hashem and to work in the tent of meeting. And then we had Be'alotcha. In Be'alotcha, it's a continuous process of this spiritual hierarchy, let's say, because there we have the work of the high priest, of the Kohen Gadol, of Aaron, that needs to le'alot et hanirot, to uplift the candles. And then we also have the celebration of the journey launch, you may say. Israel starting their journey, and everybody's happy, and the ark is moving, and the tribes are moving with it, and there is this some sort of celebration of it, where there we all of a sudden find ourselves in the beginning, find ourselves already seeing a more humanoid part of Israel, meaning that even though we stand as an extremely high, in an extremely high position of spirituality, everything in order, everything just the way the divine wanted it to be, with Israel and the Levim and the Kohanim and the Ark and the and everything is in order. Still, as humans, we ask for fulfillment, and still as humans we need also have the realm of being, meaning we have material needs, and therefore already in Parashat Be'alotcha we can start seeing the request from Moshe and Hashem to have meat, to have food, and the complaining that's going on there. Then in Parashat Shlach we come across again another delegation of really honored individual that brings to the table more humanoid behaviors or aspects. But this time it comes from an emotional point of view. If before they wanted meat and food, so this time they are stressing, fearing, doubting. They bring to the table the need of security, the fears, the doubts. And so we see that even though we are in a spiritually uplifted or special individuals with a hierarchy of divinity, still we are humans and still we have human needs. So whether in physical level, whether in emotional level, whether in intellectual level, or even in a spiritual level, from being in a state of oneness in the beginning of this book of Bamidbar, we finally find ourselves in terms of we start seeing the spikes, we start seeing the delegations or the individuals that are being that makes us more human, that makes all this nation from a big huge high elevated oneness to a tiny small little and very very human indeed aspects of ourselves, of a nation. It starts being more complex than we saw at the beginning. So if emotions came into place in Parashat Shlach Lecha, the delegation that came to scout the land of Israel, now the Torah finds it important to teach us that the rebellion is not have to become as such with a delegation of honored people necessarily per se. It can start with a single very charismatic human being, or when in a small piece of us, or in a small, like it can only start from one little piece of us that swipes after it more and more people, meaning more and more points inside us that start this rebellion. So what is the right approach then for us to have in the portion of Korach? What is requested from us in this portion? What exactly is it that we need to understand in order to answer this? We need to have another little journey in this portion. And this time we're going to look at the beginning of the portion, of the beginning words. So the Parashat Shavua begins in the term Vayikach Korach. Korach took. Vayikach Korach, literally the translation is to take. He took something. So Vayikach Korach, this portion brings us in front the rebellion of Korach against Moshe and Aaron. And in a way, who is he? He raised against Moshe and Aaron, but he's in the leadership of the Levi tribe, of the Kehat of the Levi tribe, which is the most prestigious tribe from among the Levim. And following this, we have the story of the road of Aaron, which is in a way come as a proof for Aaron, for the chosen of Aaron from the divine will. Later on, we have the section of the gifts Israel needs to give to the priests, to the Kohanim, to the priesthood. So only by looking at the overall summary of this portion, we can find or notice here a very interesting idea or a very interesting thing we must take a look at. Because this portion begins with Korach took. So Korach is taking something, one person under his own mind is taking for himself, for the other, whatever, but he's taking. Well, at the end of the story, or as a result of it, we see a divine request to contribute, to give, and to share. And so we see that those two opposite sides coexist at the same portion, beginning to end, as cause and effect. So we must address it. But who was Korach to begin with? So, as I said, Korach was a leading member of the Kehat family, the most prestigious family. And joining him to the mutiny were against Moshe and Aaron were another 250 people of Israel, also leaders of the community. Now Korach had an ideological claim to Moshe, driven by the way in which he understood Israel's relationship with Hashem, with God, by the manner in which he felt the nation ought to be structured. And as we know, the structure is a divine structure. And now here comes the man, a human with human needs, with human emotions also, that is questioning the divine structure. On the one hand, he seems challenging the very institution of the kehuna, of the priesthood, declaiming to Moshe and Aaron, the entire community is holy and God within them is within them. So why do you raise yourself over the congregation of Hashem, of God? But on the other hand, there was more to Korach, the person and the idea, because his mutiny was driven by a jealousy power struggle. It wasn't separated from who he was as a human being, from who he was as a person. He wanted to lead. He wanted the leadership to his own, or to be the leader. He wanted to mess up the order. This is what we need to really point here, because there was a divine order. There was a very structured building of hierarchy, and Korach wanted to mess it up. He wanted to be, he's a Levi, and he wanted to be a priest or a leader. And so in the Zohar we see that Hashem divided the people of Israel into several classes or of holiness, or let's say the nation structure of Israel is ordinary people, Israel, and the Levim, and the Kohanim. And at the top of the pyramid we have the Kohen Gadol, the high priest Aaron. So Israel, the part of Israel, so we have three parts, Kohanim, Levim, Israel. So the Israel part are the farmers, the merchants, the craftsmen, the soldiers. Those are the ones that pursue the normalities of life, the existing of physical life. They're involved in the effort and in the toils of the material world. While the Levi tribe, however, were more distinguished from other Israel community, to be brought closer to Hashem, to be servers of the spiritual, as a spiritual leaders or some sort of representatives. And the Kohanim within the tribe of Levi, Aaron and his descendants, were considered or giving the primary role in serving Hashem in Kodesh HaKodeshim, in the tent of meeting, in the Mishkan. And then above it, the Kohen Gadol, Moshe Aaron, the high priest. So we can see that it seems there is a hierarchy of holiness, and Korach seems to be objecting to this spiritual elitism or this hierarchy of holiness created by the divine. So he comes across as a champion of equality, right? Of the one that's seeking justice, that wants every fairness. He believes everyone should be the same. Why would you raise up yourself from all the rest? All of us have Hashem inside us. All of us were in Sinai, seeing the lights and seeing the voices and hearing the lights. So he was railing against the class system that categorized levels of holiness within the community of Israel. The divine order was not Korach's, like he didn't understood it, or he wanted to change that. And also he, in a way, saw himself as a more worthy candidate to the leadership of the people. For the entire congregation are all holy, and the Lord in their midst. So why do you raise yourself above the Lord assembly? He says. So we see there is a divinity differentiation or some sort of a hierarchy between Kohanim, Leviim, and Israel. And there is also a divine differentiation in the Sefirot. As we know, we have Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferet. Chesed representers are the Kohanim. It's the emotional tendency to flow outwards, to contribute, to give, to share, and the like. And then we have Gevurah. Gevurah is the representatives of Gevurah are the Leviim. Gevurah is equal and opposite to Chesed. It manifests with holding, with constructing, with narrowing and the like. It's the might, it's the strength. And Tiferet represents Israel. Tiferet represents or allows those two very different aspects to merge together in peace. And so it's not the matter of mixing between those three parts, Kona, Levim, Israel. It's more a matter of balancing them in our life. So literally Gevurah means strength, right? And literally Chesed means love and kindness. So these equal polar tendencies, which every human being possesses, tear us up to different direction, and we have to find a way to repair them, or to we need therefore the aspect of Tiferet that its representors are Israel. And it's extremely logical, isn't it? Because Israel is the reason for this, like they are the reason, they are the story, they are the holy family in the overall look of it. So now let's go to our part of the story, right? So where are we here? Who are we here? If you remember, we talked about the fact that each and every one of us have inside him or her those characteristics of Moshe, Aaron, and the Leviim, the Kohanim. So are we Moshe and Aaron in this portion? Or are we Korach and his people going deep underground in punishment? This portion has two extremes in it. So who are we? It can be quite confusing. So Korach figure will try this week to sabotage or interfere. Too much, you might possess too much strength about something, in regards to something, or you want to have too much limitations in regards to something, but the world, the divine, the presence, the creator won't give you the actual week itself. You would have to possess some sort of chesed tendencies within you in order to follow through this week. And so the Torah deciphering it in a way of disappearing the Gevurah, the side of the Leviim that represents the Gevurah, that represents the strength and the might and the power and the holding back. Those guys, this portion, this week, goes underground from where they could maybe later on reassign or readjust themselves in way of growing from within, in another time, in order to say, as the Midrash maybe say, Moshe emet v'torato emet. Moshe is the truth and his Torah is the truth. So, and us, we are to keep operating in terms of chesed, even though the Gevurah is going to try to take place. The Gevurah will try to lead us this week, have no doubt, because this is the spiritual process. So if we said that we need to avoid any kind of disagreement or controversy with the divine will, because we need to remember that this is a divine will. So in the beginning, then we said that we came from a place of oneness, right? From a place of oneness, from a place of together, from a place of very built up and structured hierarchy. We come now to the understanding that this structure, this hierarchy is important, and Korach wanted to come against it but he was giving the punishment of being underground, he was buried alive, which is, by the way, we have two times in this portion to living and the dead together. The first time when Korach people go underground, and the second time when Aaron stands between the living and the dead, and when he comes to cure the people, or to help them, or to save some of them. So in this portion, we see basically that the importance of this hierarchy, the layered Torah adjustment in ourselves we need to have, the understanding of the midot, of the measurements, of the chesed, of the contributing, and in the other side, the holding back. We would see this week that the holding back would try to overcome the kindness and the love, and this is not the way. We aren't to mix those, but rather intertwine them. They need to come together. They need to readjust. We need to understand that we're not the high spiritual beings uplifted from the entire world around us. We're humans. We have human needs. We have human emotions. And those needs and emotion, whether material and even spiritual, in a way would have to lead us into living in peace and harmony together with each other. The Gevurah and the Chesed and the Tiferet, and the Levim, the Kohanim in Israel. So I wish you a very good week. Don't take it too hard. Just follow through this idea of when Gevurah comes up and wants to take the lead, take her down by kindness, by love, by contribution, by giving. Give to the Kohanim their gifts to your part inside you that are servers of the divine, their proper position. And have a Shabbat Shalom.